last week and the week before, if you guys watch episode 5 and 6, we talked a little bit about Brigitte Macron. A little bit being an understatement.
Yeah.
Um, and we know some things that you may not. One being, she is a dude. She is a dude.
Oh,
What?
what?
No
She
way.
is a dude.
A dude.
Someone was saying she was hot the other day, bro.
I did hear something
I
about that.
can't
I
believe
did
somebody
hear.
would say that.
I did hear something about that. That
But you
is.
know what? I know that wasn't me. So you want to get into what else you heard, Miguel? What else did you hear, buddy? Tell me.
I don't know, man. Should I just get into the story because I don't want to expose anybody?
Expose away.
All right, let's just focus on the topic, or else we're gonna be here for fucking 3 hours. All right. So this is basically a story of another president exposed as a theater student who got into power, but this time with direct ties to the Rothschild family. Joseph, if you could pull up that first clip. Yeah, clip number 1. We just get into a little bit more about who Emmanuel Macron was and where he came from, and the people that knew him and what they said about him and all that stuff.
The myth of the writer Macron was definitively debunked by a journalist. Like, they kept saying that he would write these novels and Brigitte would talk about his passion for writing in interviews. Well, essentially, they realized that, nope, that isn't true. None of that is true. And they created this idea of him really just because they wanted the public to believe that he was this genius and that he therefore deserved to be suddenly in the mist as a politician, that he had this background where he was kind of a boy genius. And like I said, that could not be further from the truth. The reality is Emmanuel Macron's real story is more of a fake it till you make it. Okay. If that's how you would say it, fake it till you make it. As we have stressed before, not much is known about his childhood. Okay. It's weird. It just gets very strange. His mother, we now know, was in charge of the gender reassignment program at the Social Security office. His father was a psychiatrist, but according to Veronique, she had no memory of Emmanuel having been around him. His grandmother, Manette, we know, definitely was involved in his childhood. It's the only one he speaks about affectionately or even relates to his childhood in his book. We also know that grandma had a knack for pedophile-centric books. It was grandma's thing. What are you gonna do? She likes these
Okay,
pedophile-centric
Damn.
books. She's just like, hey, is
Grandma's
that a pederast?
freaky.
Yeah, that's a
Well, you
really
talk-
cool thing. Let's talk about Andre Gide. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about all of these weird passages. Me and my grandchild's, we share this with one another. Like I said, we learned that he was a bit of a loner. He didn't have many friends. The people that went to school with him didn't even know what his parents did. Well, according to the Wall Street Journal's book, The Calculated Rise of Macron, it was the Rothschild family, the Rothschild bank, that had everything to do with his professional resume.
What a
And
quinky dink.
interestingly enough, Xavier Poussard
Anti-Semitic.
had discovered
Huh?
Just saying, bro, it's anti-Semitic.
Say it with your
Whatever.
chest.
Oh, my bad. My bad. I'm just pointing. I'm just saying. What a quinky dink.
Yeah.
that the bank made
Rothschilds.
an internal error in their documents when they listed Macron, who is supposed to be born in Amiens, as having instead been born in Paris. And they made this error on multiple documents, by the way. I'm going to show you a few of them. And the reality is, of course, this keeps coming up, that we are told in the official biography that he's born in Amiens. Then we have
Hold on. Where's Amiens? Is that part of France?
That's a good
Ambiance?
fucking question.
Say it again.
Where's our fact checker?
Well,
Fact
I
check,
think
fact check.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. Because I know
Okay.
there's Amiens FC soccer club, so I'm assuming
There
that
you
it is a city.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Because if not, that'll be just like the Obama thing, right? How like people were talking about Obama's birth certificate, and then there's like
Yeah,
theories
and,
about Obama not even being an American. He was born somewhere else, and then they falsified all the documents to make it look like he
Hawaii.
was.
that is true.
So
Kamala Harris.
I wouldn't be
same shit.
surprised. Yeah.
of the former mayor of Amiens, who said, no, he's, what was it, Touquetois? Like from Le Touquet area. Now we have the Rothschilds reporting that he's born in Paris. And we just don't know what's real and what's false. Okay. We really don't know
So the Rothschilds
Okay.
actually went out their way to say where, like he or she was
No,
actually born.
I think that she was going through. She said something about the bank minutes, and I guess obviously your bank has some pieces of information on you, and they're reporting a long time ago saying that he was born in Paris. Meanwhile, other piece of information like his birth certificate or something like that is saying he was born in somewhere else, like La Duquette, like she was saying.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but the main thing is he had a connection with them from the very beginning. He was hired by them at 17, I believe, or a very young age, started working at the bank. And then by 32 years old, he became the youngest managing partner in the bank's history, right? And his colleagues that was working at the bank that were there for even longer than him, people, they would make fun of him because he was always a poor technician. He couldn't even do simple calculations, and yet he was like advancing through the ranks, right? And he
Yeah,
knew them personally.
yeah.
So I don't know much about the Rothschilds myself, but have you guys heard anything? Is there anything you guys want to say of stuff that you've heard?
Well, they're the biggest. They own the bank systems around the world. Basically, they started the banking system, so they're pretty huge. I mean, I feel like everybody at this point of time knows a little bit about them. Like at least I've heard the name Rothschild, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I pretty much seen that too. They've been around for a long time. They have lots of powers. They have ties to the media and all that stuff. Now, what surprised me was how even Candace was reluctant to dive deep into their involvement because of their tight media ties. Now, she probably didn't dive too deep because, you know, I mean, she's not afraid of being labeled anti-Semitic, but she can get her shit removed, right? And that's why she started making her own website that she just made now. And on a side note, she was supposed to release this on her website, and she announced the date of her release. And then when that day came and she was going to release this stuff, she got a DDoS attack. So they flooded her with like millions of subscribers to the point where
Yes.
like her servers
Yeah.
were bust, right?
Yeah.
So that's why she still posted it on YouTube and all that stuff. But let's play the second clip here where she
In
dives
fact,
a little bit deeper.
Well, that's a pretty good attack to get a bunch of followers, a
Shit,
bunch of people following you. Know.
can we not get attacked like that? Like, come on. All right.
the language. That's why I say this reminds me of the Manchurian Candidate. Now, regarding the Rothschilds family, there is so much that I could say here, but I do not want this episode to get hit on YouTube. Suffice it to say, you could look up any of them. The proven ties to Jeffrey Epstein, the various pedophilic and incest scandals which are abound and have surrounded this family. You could look up anything, but know that any journalist who begins to write about this in France has to face anti-Semitism charges, right? You can't, oh gosh, God forbid you actually report on facts pertaining to the Rothschilds family and their empire. What we'll do instead here is leave you with what Xavier Poussard said, because I think he summed it up quite brilliantly regarding the Rothschilds. He wrote, notoriously, the Rothschilds' longevity and preservation of their fortune are based on an extensive practice of endogamy and alliances between cousins, essentially
Interbreeding. Yeah.
At a conference at the Museum of Art History.
That's how, that's like one of the things I was about to mention too. That's how they keep their bloodline pure.
Yeah.
So they intermarry cousins, and I don't know how they don't end up with like more retarded kids, But
Apparently they do. They just hide it well because it's all in the family. Right?
maybe, yeah.
History, Natalie Reams, David de Rothschild's cousin, went further, declaring, quote, a very common practice in such
I mean,
families.
look at that.
Vice is nice,
Okay.
but incest.
Wait, are you saying she's retarded?
I mean, I don't know if she is, but what does she look like to you? I don't know. Fuck.
I don't know. I hit.
is best because it stays in the family.
Joseph,
We are simply
you
What?
would hit you hit a wall if you
Okay,
could.
let's not bring up what I hit, because what you hit this week, I said
Oh,
hell
man.
no. Okay, so
Calm
let's
down,
let's
bro.
leave it
Don't
at
get
that.
canceled.
Let's leave it at
Don't
that.
get canceled.
I didn't hit any fish.
Yeah.
raised to be silent so that nothing comes out. We are brought up with this weight to make sure, and it works, that we never speak out. Xavier concludes by saying words that echo what we encountered throughout our investigation of Brigitte, a family cloistered in silence, jealous to protect a family secret, zealous to protect a family secret that has become a state affair. And I am telling you, on that closing chapter regarding the Rothschilds and the scandals abound, including scandals that pertain to David de Rothschild, you will want to pick up Xavier Poussard's book, Becoming Brigitte, because what I have given you thus far is truly the tip of the iceberg. I cannot explain to you how many pedophile scandals I have removed from this podcasting. Again, because this is on YouTube, so I have to make this as rated G as I
Button-based.
possibly can. It cannot continually be the case that these are all just coincidences, okay? There's just way too many
Yep.
coincidences adding up. You can't play the all my homies are pedophiles and trans except for me card. I don't know. I just would feel a little bit weird about that.
But
Right.
even if that was the case though, like, why do you continuously choose to have them as friends, even if you're the odd one that's not?
An individual in your life, and you're like, I swear.
Well, that's the
everyone
end of the
around
clip,
me is
pretty much.
involved.
Like I was like, oh yeah, all my friends like to rob people, but I don't. Okay, so why are you still friends with those fucking, like, you know what I'm saying? Like. But I know a bunch of left-sided people are gonna be like not to put, like, you know, like, but like they're gonna be, oh no, but like you can't judge him, he's not doing it. Like, yo, shut up.
Yeah.
Piss me
No,
off, bro.
I just wanted to give credit to the real journalists who figured this out, because Candace is just coming out with it, but it's really that guy that she mentioned, Xavier Poussard, who started this case a while ago. He's not the first journalist, but he was the first guy to really put all the details together and really take his time. He had to move out of the country to pursue this story because he was going through a bunch of attacks, legal attacks, harassments, all that stuff. And he felt like the only way he could get this out to the most people as possible is to contact Candace, which that was a good move on his part. And it's important to hear what he said in this next clip, Joseph, if you want to pull it up, because it just shows you how free speech is becoming a dying concept here and is already dead in many places around the world, especially Europe. You know, and they want to tell you, oh no, speech is free, but it's not free from consequences, right? Well, if your consequence is to silence the person, right? If your consequence is to threaten them, to take their job away, that's not free speech, right? And that's not what at least America stands for, right? That's what one of the things Trump is fighting for right now, even though they're fucking attacking him left, right, and center, right? So it's just something to be aware of. You got that clip?
Yeah, let me pull it up, run up.
Just a couple of minutes of Xavier Poussard, you know, giving his thought process and how he's found this story from the beginning as we wrap up this series.
This is amazing.
Dropped this biography, Brigitte Macron, Emmanuel Macron. There's this unofficial biography that gets dropped about them. And what is the first thing that strikes you as peculiar?
Ce qui était très étrange dans le cas d'Emmanuel Macron,
There was an over-mediatization. The mainstream media decided to very strongly attack the other candidates during the 2017 presidential election, particularly Penelope Fillon, and sort of hail and laud everything surrounding Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte. They were essentially attacking the far right, everyone apart from them. So they tried to paint this picture of Macron as being a sort of Mozart-esque figure, that he was very virtuous and precarious. They began forming a narrative that he had met this woman when he was 17 years old. So this sort of this man of great, precarious nature, a conqueror, a virtuoso who no one could resist, essentially, just as Mozart was. So the first lie was regarding age. A journalist had compiled a combination of the amount of times it was noted that they initially spun a narrative of him being 17 years old and her being 36. And so it was sort of this brave man, going after the woman he loved at a young age because he was just a daring young chap, so to say. Whereas, in fact, he was 14 at the time and she was 39, which turns it from a brave story into a story of pedophilia and the abuse of a minor. When their real age was brought to light, there were many mechanisms of communication in the play from the couple. They really played on the way the story was brought to the public. It was sort of like Robert De Niro and Dustin Hoffman's movie Wag the Dog, where they used a spin doctor who brought certain messages to the public to distract them from the actual true scandal at hand. But there was a narrative spun of the difference in age being an issue between a man being younger and a woman being of an older age, whereas the difference of age was exactly the same between, for example, Donald Trump and Melania, yet no one batted an eye there. However, the issue is not so much the difference in age, and people sort of jumped on the bandwagon here and said, well, why? It's so unfair how a man with a more advanced age being with a younger woman is not an issue, but the reverse is quite scandalous. But that is not the issue here. It's an issue of the age of Macron at the time when he was 14. So this is clearly the abuse of a minor rather than just having a salacious story.
Yo, not
You
to
can
like.
see just.
What are you gonna say? No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say you can see just by the way he talks, he's a very well, like, how do I want to say? He's like, yeah, well spoken. Just even because you're hearing an overlay, but like just his mannerisms and whatnot, you can tell that he's like a thorough person.
Yes, very detail oriented.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like, I think in general is looked more frowned upon if the girl is the one that's underage than the man. Like I feel like, I don't know, would you guys agree with that? I feel like more people would like, if you see a 32-year-old with a 7 or a 16-year-old, it's in society I feel like people judge it more than if you see like a 29-year-old woman with like a 17-year-old guy. Like I don't think
that's true, but
you know
this is a man on man thing though. But like
yeah. No, but like what he was saying was that like what you can compare their relationship with like Trump and Melania, and what I got from what he was saying was that like people see Trump and Melania and they say it's okay, but then if they were to compare Macron with his wife, then people judge it, and that didn't make sense to me because I feel like people judge when the woman is the younger one. So, and like a lot of people were judging Trump because of the age difference between him and Melania. I don't know.
Yeah, like he was basically saying how the media was portraying it, right? So that how they were downplaying the whole thing.
Mm.
And basically people that were supportive of Emmanuel Macron's relationship, what they would say, right, to justify the age difference and stuff, even though they were being lied to.
The age difference is whatever if the person is over the age limit. Like if you're over 18, 19 or whatever, it's fine. But the problem is at the time they met, the person was underage. That's what the issue is, and they used the Donald Trump, Melania.
Yeah, they were old.
To downplay the issue.
Okay. All right.
Now, respects to no, that's pretty much it. Now, respects to Xavier, because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have another clear-cut example of a theater drama student put into power, just like Trudeau, just like Zelensky, and probably more. There's probably others out there. I wouldn't be surprised. The only difference is in this story, because of the details, like we see a little bit more weirdness, more gayness, more pedophilic nature surrounding those in power behind the scene, and their connection to the Rothschilds, who, it's no doubt they practice interbreeding and keep it within the family.
And that's what they tell people. Imagine what they don't.
Exactly, right? Now, this is something many people still try to deny to this day, about those guys, right? And what they do and where they came from. But these are the same guys that are pushing and promoting the LGBTQ ideologies around the world, right? So then there's no doubt, like, how can you not make that connection of obviously they're pushing these ideologies to the point where they're like, it's not a stretch now to say that they're basically trying to make pedophilia okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's something that people would say before and, be labeled fucking transphobic and all that stuff. And no, it's not about not liking trans people. It's about, opening a small door to one thing that's, and then, now you open the door to everything. And then now you're contradicting yourself and you kind of have to allow the other extreme to be okay. Right? Which we talked about before.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really was interested in about when she's like even talking, like you can tell now she's she's gaining traction, that like she's got to now protect herself on even how she says things, so she can't be making statements and all that stuff like that, so she's using other people's words to reinforce the point, right? It's like she says, they're peeling it back layer by layer, but it could get real sticky, right?